Hi everybody, this is Alchemist 2 and I'm back again with another book review. I just recently read A Wrinkle in Time, which was written by Madeleine L'Angle. I do believe that's how her name is pronounced. It's a French name. It says here, I didn't know much about Madeleine, but she was the author of more than 40 books. Holy crap! For all ages, including A Wrinkle in Time, which won a Newbery Award, and rightly so. Wind in the Door, Swiftly Tilting Planet, Many Waters, Meet the Austins, Moon by Night, Ring of Endless Night, I've heard of that, which is also a Newbery Honor Book. The Arm of the Starfish, Dragons in the Waters, and Both Were Young, Camilla, and A House Like Lotus. And in '84, she received the Regina Medal for Continued Distinguished Dedication. And apparently said she lives in New York City, but I don't know if that's true. I don't know if Miss Madeleine is still alive, because you don't really hear that much about her. And one thing I like about this particular version is it has the family tree, and from the very get-go, we learn the difference between Chronos and Kairos. And of course, if you know anything about Greek, Kairos is what's known as God's time. And of course, you don't know this unless you go through seminary, or if you read things like the Pseudepigrapha and have friends like I do. You don't have to go through seminary to learn about Kairos. And then Chronos, as we all know, Chronos was a Titan, and Chronos is what we know as time, the element of what I consider something that doesn't even exist, because we invented it. It never really existed before we invented it, and it is a concept that we cannot understand because we are three-dimensional, and having created five-dimensional characters who have no limitations, they can just go wherever they want, and that's why I like writing about fifth dimensionals. For me, it's kind of frustrating because I would love to have that ability to just kind of go whenever I wished and not be just so limited by my corporal form. But there are a lot of things here that are very intriguing, even though it's just one of 4 books. And from the very beginning of the book, we're sucked in immediately. It begins with the most well-known line or sentence in all of English literature, which is, "It was a dark and stormy night." I thought, that's where that comes from. For all these years, I'd always wondered, and my dad always began his stories like that. He would always start, and it just reminded me of him. I thought, how appropriate, how coincidental. I don't believe in coincidences, but the 3 aliens here, we've got Miss Whatsit, Miss Who, and Miss Witch. And they're fifth dimensionals that come into Meg's life and her friend's life. There are 5 children here. Charles is one of them. And her father is in absentia. And he works for the government. He's a physicist. And the letters stopped coming. So they're on the horns of a dilemma and figuring out why this is, and everything turns upon its ear when Miss Whatsit comes into the picture, which makes it very intriguing, and we figure out what her true form really is and how the children become acquainted with her. But it begins like any other story does, a really good children's story. It begins with, like I said, the hook that just draws you in immediately, and then you think, oh, this is ominous, because it's so telling. Madeleine begins in such a very enchanting way that you want to read more. And it's very short, unfortunately. And you learn from the very start that Meg is a very intelligent little girl. Well, not little girl, but young girl who understands numbers but has some difficulty at school because she did it all by shortcut and wrote rather than actually writing things out, and it's a little bit different when you do it in school, but she's still very brilliant, and she's not very good with the I would say she's left brain. She's not very accurate with her language skills. It's more I'm not sure what do you call that, spatial learning, but she's better with numbers and math and making sense out of other things rather than doing quotations, and she can rattle off things like square roots to no end, and she is just an insanely brilliant young mind. She's a genius. And her brother is a little bit different. Her brother is a little bit slower, but still on his own accord, he has a mind for words and the more creative side, and just the language of poetry and things like he can recite the Gettysburg Address and with no problem. And this actually comes in handy later when they are dealing with this force on some other worlds that they're watching from afar. And I was kind of curious because when I bought it, I saw that there was a movie being made and Oprah's in it, and I thought, oh, I like Oprah. I really love Oprah. I think that she's a very strong feminine force, and I think that she's a good advocate. I also believe that she is a sensational role model too, just because she went through just so much turmoil, and I think I don't know if she's going to be playing What's It. I hope she does, because I think that she'd be perfect now that I've read this and seeing that she wears the spectacles. I thought maybe she is going to be What's It. So I was extremely excited now knowing that, and I realized that if you watch Steven Universe, that there is a lot to be tied to that, because Connie actually has in a picture, there's a screen cap of Connie holding Madeline's book. So I thought, oh, so the trio that we're introduced to in here, strangely enough, could possibly correlate. But it is said, I don't know if this is true, this is just rumor, I've heard this from the fam or the community and other YouTubers who are Steven Universe watchers and fans, that said Rebecca Sugar was actually inspired. I can understand why she would be. It's a very good book, but I was curious as to why it was banned. And because the person who sold me the book told me that they never read it. I never read it. It was required reading in some schools. This was back in elementary and junior high. But I never read it. It was something that was always a passing fancy for me. And yeah, this coming from somebody who grew up with sci-fi and fantasy. And it's right up my alley. It's something that is extremely interesting. And the Wrinkle itself, I'm not going to talk too much about that. It's all dealing with the time-space continuum in physics and quantum physics, metaphysics, and different dimensional kind of understandings of that. And to me, I love physics, don't get me wrong. I've always have, always will, but I don't completely understand all the theories. I understand them very basically. I know that space-time is curved. Einstein helped us with that, with the theory of relativity. We all know. But Hawking goes into that a little bit more, and if you read Feynman, then yeah, it's very complicated stuff. I've read Feynman, I've read Einstein, I've read Hawking, I've read all that, and I always come upon different differing ideas and perceptions on the whole idea of M brains, and I thought, oh, my head, and it's too much for me to comprehend. But I think I love this so much. It's just there are so many things in this universe that we do not understand, and This is about that. It's about the curiosity, and it's about certain lights in the world. And when they mentioned those lights, I thought, oh, that might be considered controversial. Of course, some of the characters quote verses from the Bible, but I didn't think anything was wrong with that. And I realized that another book that did that it was said to have been going against the principles of the Bible was the Golden Compass. Of course, I've read the entire series of the Golden Compass, and I noticed that Polito or Pullman, I think his name's either Polito, Brian Polito or Brian Pullman, the author, he has another part of the not Dark Materials, but Golden Compass that's coming out. Dark Materials I've read. That was the last one that he had written in a while. But oh gosh, how many years has that been? It seems like forever. I thought, oh, Pullman has a new book that's coming out. Maybe I should go and read it. It's not out yet, so I have to wait for it. But kind of makes me wonder if they're going to try initiating the other stories on the silver screen, because honestly, I really thought that Golden Compass was outstanding. It was one of my favorite movies ever done, and a lot of people enjoyed it. My dad liked it, and that's saying something, because Dad was always very particular. He really loved Narnia. Of course, we all love Narnia, having grown up with that. So that was no question. We had all read the Narnia books, and he hadn't read Harry Potter, or of course Harry Potter's another controversial one, and there's witches. It's Satanism. No, it's not. Come on. Some people are just so ignorant. It's the whole thing. I'm going to bring this up, but there was something on Game Grumps that I have to absolutely bring up right now. I do not support flat earth. Okay, it's been proven. I don't know why people have to go over it, but it's one of my little pet peeves. And just being somebody who is a scientist, well, I guess you could say I am. I know I say that I am. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree, and my minor, well, actually my associate's is in science. So yeah, I'm a little bit of both worlds. And I took a course in Transcendentalism, which will warp your brain. But if you want to take something really, really strange, take Transcendentalism. Trust me. But yeah, you get into some pretty lofty concepts in philosophy like that, and Greek philosophies. I never took Plato, but I'm thinking if I did take Plato, I probably would have really enjoyed it. Of course, I've read a lot of mathematical books I didn't understand, but I enjoyed reading them anyway, just because the information was so fascinating. I thought, if I could just understand numbers like Meg. I want that mind. I want to be able to just sit down like Ramanujan and just spit out numbers for, this is what causes a black hole. Oh, if only. But I know that probably would have been a little bit maddening at times, because brains like that get very bored. Mine gets bored, so I understand. But I do what I got to do to make a living. But anyway, it's a really marvelous book. It's absolutely fantastic. I love the different worlds that are explained, and the creatures, and just the faith. It's just like with Golden Compass. The subject of faith is very important. That's why I do not understand why people think that Golden Compass is so anti-religion. I mean, faith is the crux, pardon the pun, of religion. I'm not religious, but I know people who may, but I'm a spiritualist. I do believe in God. Yes, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. I believe that. But I just think that religion, the institution of religion, is so very condemning and confining, and there's just so much wrong with it, and it's just, ugh. it really frustrates me when people put me under that aegis and say, oh, you think this. No, I don't think that way. I'm very open-minded. You'd be surprised. I got a lot of friends. One of my best friends, I haven't heard from in a while, but my best friend, I call him a Gnostic because even though he believes that there's nothing after you die, he does believe in an intelligent creative force, i.e. Abba God. That's what I call him Abba. I call him God. I call him a lot of other names like the Divine and the Great Sparkler. Great Spirit. I call him by all those names because he has many. He doesn't just have to go by one, please. That's so limiting. But he can be called she. Why not? I mean, I'm not offended by that. If people say she, I'm not. That doesn't make me mad. I'm thinking that, I mean, I've seen Dogma. Dogma is one of my favorite movies. It cracks me the heck up. But anyway, it's really a great book to just initiate the conversations about such things that are probably taboo. That's probably the reason why people don't want to insert anything that might spark a conversation about, because they say church and state should be. Yeah, I guess I'm one of those people that still believe that. I still believe, I think that prayers should still be allowed, even though a lot of people don't think it should be. But anyways, that's all I got to say for now. So until next time, live long, prosper. Ciao, tutti.